presentation titled Why and How to Launch a High-Impact Charity. It's great to have you all here, and I'm thrilled to have you join us as we explore how charity entrepreneurship can be one of the most effective and impactful career paths, especially for those of us looking to drive meaningful change through evidence-based scalable work. I'm honored to introduce our speaker for this session, Leonie Falk. Leonie is the Executive Director at EAGxNigeria Project, a newly incubated global health charity focused on averting death caused by oxygen saturation in hospitals across low-income countries. Her work is driven by a powerful mission to have the most positive, impactful impact possible in a way that is cost-effective, scalable, and grounded in evidence. Before leading this venture, she was the Director of Research Training Program at Ambitious Impact. And prior to that, she served as the lead grant maker for global health and development at Woodlink Impact. Leonie has also worked extensively with health and development organizations in India, Kenya, and Uganda. Her interests and expertise span around entrepreneurship, grant making, global health and development, and philanthropy. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Leonie Falk.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adia, for this amazing and generous introduction. My name is Leonie. I'm here to represent two organizations today. One is Oxygen Access Project, which is where I'm currently serving as the director, and then Charity Entrepreneurship, or Ambitious Impact. And the reason that I'm speaking today is mostly to talk about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship in the impact space. And I'm just coming from the Global Health and Development meetup here at the conference earlier. And one thing that becomes really clear is that there is so much entrepreneurial energy in this room, but also on this whole conference. And that's absolutely amazing. As a founder myself, I also know that starting an organization and running an organization is one of the most challenging jobs that anybody could be taking up on. So what I want to do today is talk a bit more about some of the kind of experiences that we've had in starting this organization, but then also about charity entrepreneurship and ambitious impact and how they are trying to make starting a successful organization a lot easier and remove some of these challenges and bottlenecks that we are facing as founders. So I'm very excited to be speaking about both of that today. I don't know if you can get the slides up, but basically that's where we can get started. Yeah, otherwise I can start with giving a bit of an introduction into ambitious impact / charity entrepreneurship. Charity entrepreneurship is a program of ambitious impact. And Ambitious Impact is an organization based in the UK whose mission it is to make it as easy as possible to start as many great and high impact organizations in the world as possible. Maybe we can get to the next slide here. Yeah, maybe to start with myself, I myself have gone through the Ambitious Impact Charity Entrepreneurship Program and started an organization called Oxygen Access Project. And you can see a picture of us here with the Hospital Services Management Board up in Gombe State, which is where our program is currently based. And previous to this, I've been working with the Ambitious Impact Research Trainee Program as well as their grant making program, meaning I have a very big personal endorsement of the organization and my experience because I keep coming back to do more programs and to do further work with them. Maybe we can go to the next slide here. What we are doing at Oxygen Access Project is trying to reduce mortality in hospitals as much as possible in a counterfactual and cost-effective way. Specifically, how we are doing this is we are trying to support hospitals with the treatment and diagnostic tools for a condition called hypoxemia, which is low oxygen saturation in the blood, which is causing patients to pass away that didn't need to pass away. and then Ambitious Impact itself is an organization that is connecting talented people looking to do a huge amount of good through their careers with the training, the funding, and the mentorship for people to start new organizations working on global issues. So if you are somebody who's thinking about starting an organization, has that entrepreneurial energy, this is a great place to get some support with that. Yeah, so what is the Charity Entrepreneurship Program? It's an opportunity to launch your own organization. And logistically, that means there's a 2-month full-time training that is paid, as well as an opportunity to match with other people and co-founders that are interested in doing the same thing. And as well as they are helping you to select an idea or an intervention that this organization could be working on. So as you know, there are so many different problems in the world, and it's really hard to understand exactly where you should be focusing. And they have a full team that is helping you figure out which one of the things that you could be focusing on would be the most impactful thing for you to do. And then lastly, as we all know, one of the big challenges with doing good work is actually having the resources to do so. So the Charity Entrepreneurship Program also provides a seed funding grant that is averaging in around 100,000 euros that is helping you get started and deliver a proof of concept and a pilot for the program that you're ultimately running. Yeah, and this has worked really well so far. So there are currently 40, even more than 40, as I'm speaking, organizations that have been incubated through charity entrepreneurship, many of which are working in Nigeria. So Health Learn works in Nigeria, Notify Health, Taimaka. Many of the Taimaka people are also here in this room. Maybe we can give them a quick round of applause for the amazing work that they've been doing. Yeah, I've been just deeply impressed by their work to help children with malnutrition in Gombe State. We have even more organizations working in Nigeria here. Let me point them out. There are Family Empowerment Media, and then LAFIA and Access to Medicines Initiative, and Family Empowerment Media is also represented at this conference. So another huge opportunity to reach out to an organization that is doing amazing work. Many organizations have started and many organizations are doing work here in Nigeria. And many of these organizations are also constantly hiring for positions. So this is a great opportunity to also keep an eye out for those opportunities. But coming to the question of why should we be doing this work in the first place? We are all here because what we care about in our work is to have an impact. And this is an amazing opportunity to do so. Starting something from the ground that otherwise would not have gotten started and giving it the very best chance to actually help people is one of the most impactful things we could be doing with our time. And I'm just feeling so grateful to have the opportunity to be able to do that with my time and my work. This is an opportunity to not only improve lives, but improve lives at scale. So I, by myself, can hopefully help a couple of people, but me working with an organization, working with a team, and working with an idea and a full system can hopefully help improve lives at scale, and that's fantastic. There's also a huge level of ownership that comes with this, and that is a drawback and a very positive point. If you really like to be able to shape what your day-to-day looks like and what you think the priorities of your work should be, then this is a fantastic opportunity to take a lot of ownership. Sometimes that also means everything comes back to you and you need to do all of the work yourself. But there's definitely a positive side to this as well. And then lastly, why starting an organization? One of the arguments here is for learning and skill development. There's really no better way to learn than jumping into a challenge that you're somewhat prepared for, but definitely not fully prepared for. There's so many new things to be learning when starting a new organization. And it's really an opportunity to skill up and learn in so many different ways and putting yourself into a position where you have to grow incredibly fast. And I've been incredibly grateful to be able to observe that in myself over the last couple of months. I now know how to do a lot of things that I had no idea about even just a year ago. And that's pretty cool to be able to observe in yourself. Speaking a bit more about our work in Oxygen Access Project specifically, we are working with governments to increase the diagnostic and treatment rates for pediatric patients with low oxygen saturation. And we are working now in more than 20 hospitals in Gombe State in northern Nigeria. And this is hoping to avert the preventable deaths of young children in those hospitals. And I think one of the most meaningful, we can skip that slide. one of the most meaningful parts for me here is just really being able to observe the impact that we are having in such a palpable manner. It's one thing to be able to like read reports and kind of do like analyses and estimates of the impact that we are having, but it like on a personal level, it's very meaningful to be able to travel to the hospitals that we are working with and then actually seeing the impact firsthand and really driving home that there is a difference that an individual can make, and that's really great. I think we can skip the next slide and move on. I will briefly speak a bit about the Ambitious Impact Incubation Program again and some of the support that we have received in making this work happen. The benefits of the program break down into research-backed intervention ideas. So I didn't actually have to do all of the research around the access to medical oxygen myself. I was really lucky to be able to fall back on a very well-researched report that was checked by a team of researchers that have been doing this for years to really give me the chance to be able to work on something that has the very best chance of succeeding. Instead of having to come up with an idea by myself, I was able to rely on that team, and that made things a lot easier. There's also a cohort of exceptional co-founders, so nobody does anything alone. There's teams that are necessary to do any great work. And one of the most meaningful relationships in starting an organization can be a really fantastic co-founder relationship and finding somebody with whom you can do great work. The cohort normally consists of between 12 and 15 people from all around the world, all with the same goal of starting this really great organization. And you work together for 2 months to really figure out what the best fit with the best person could look like and which projects you could be taking on. And it's a very intense process, but it's also a fantastic way to not only find new colleagues and collaborators, but also really make good friends. Then one of the big bottlenecks that this program is trying to resolve is also the funding for new organizations. As I was mentioning earlier, there is a seed grant for new organizations that really makes it possible to run for kind of implementing a pilot program, implementing a proof of concept, and making it easy for people to get started right out of the program rather than having to wait and fundraise. And then there's also ongoing coaching and mentorship. And one thing that I want to point out here is one of the most amazing things about this community is that there are so many other organizations that have gone to the program. And there's this amazing community that is helping each other out and getting started, but also in ongoing support and mentorship. So it has been so helpful for me to be able to ask for advice and ask for support and help from other organizations who've gone through the program. And many good things have come out of that. I can highly recommend whenever you're engaging or meeting somebody from the community to really take the opportunity for a meeting, take the opportunity for a conversation, because everybody is amazing. Then there's also a training component to the incubation program. There are some concepts that are being spoken about, such as monitoring the evaluation frameworks. This is something that Alex has spoken about in the last conversation. Where do we get the evidence from? How do we make sure this is actually having an impact? The program is also covering basic statistics, as well as concepts around task management, how to set organizational priorities, how to do strategic decision-making well. There are also some sessions around budgeting and legalities, which of course are part of this, as well as legal representation and registration in different countries and getting an advisory board. So it's really trying to help you out with all of the bottlenecks that you might face as a new founder and make that transition as easy as possible. And then there are also a lot of other benefits, from skill building to networks effect to opportunities to the inspiration for other people and through further opportunities to really land into a job that you really love and that is having an impact. And then the program logistically breaks down into 2 parts. The first month is really about choosing an idea and a co-founder. And then the second month is about starting to build your organization, write a proposal, and then submit that proposal to a seed funding network to receive that seed grant. This is a picture of some members of the amazing community. Some of those faces might be here today, so feel free to reach out and say hi. I will quickly cover a couple of common questions here. I think some of the misconceptions are that if you want to do this job or if you want to apply for this job, you have to have like 30 years of experience of having done this before and have to have like 3 master's degrees and like have worked with all these different organizations. But this program is actually open to everyone, and the background of the founders for this program is actually quite varied. We had founders from every continent, from people in their early 20s to their mid 50s. And people are coming at this from a lot of different perspectives. Some people straight out of university, some people have worked in finance for 20 years, some people have worked in global health. It's really a varied background, a mix of people. So one thing that I can recommend is do not exclude yourself from applying to the program just because you think you're not a good fit. Everybody who's applying to the program thinks they are not a good fit, and people are just wrong about this. So don't hold yourself back there. And then one other thing to mention here is that Charity Entrepreneurship and Ambitious Impact is particularly excited about founders who can spend a significant amount of time in the countries and with the projects that they are working in. So for example, if working in Nigeria, then Ambitious Impact would also be very excited about Nigerian co-founders. And again, this goes back to the last presentation. Sometimes it's just really hard to understand how well things are going if you can't be able to spend as much time in the context. And yeah, obviously, somebody who's already based here will be able to do that a lot better and a lot more. Yeah, for the program, the salary is covered, so there's no living expenses for the program itself. And then afterwards, if they're successful in receiving a seed grant, they can set their own salary based on the seed grant that they raise. Yeah, and there's like a range, but that obviously differs from like country to country. Yeah. And the best way to figure out if you would be a good fit is to actually apply. The application process is designed to help you figure out if this could be an interesting career for you to consider. There are 5 stages, and all of those 5 stages are designed to also help you reflect if this is something that you want to pursue. There's no single profile or a short list of experience that guarantees you will be an excellent founder, but there are certain things that you could be doing to put yourself into a better position to successfully get admitted to the program. And 3 things that I want to point out here, and 3 takeaways are: the first step is to go onto the Ambitious Impact website and sign up to the newsletter, because this is the first place to look at if you want to know about all the job openings, about the new application rounds, and about everything else that is related to Ambitious Impact. So that's the first step, signing up to the newsletter. The second step is to go and apply for the program. So really using this opportunity on the 3rd of August, when the applications are opening again, to apply for the program. Don't overthink it. Just see what happens, apply. And then if you get the feedback that maybe you have made it through a couple of rounds, but maybe not all the way, then you at least have an idea of like what the next couple of steps are that you need to take to get to a successful application in the future. And then the third step, and this is one that I can highly, highly recommend, is it really helps to work with existing AIM incubated charities or even GiveWell recommended organizations, specifically here in Nigeria. This is the best way to get an idea of what work with these organizations would look like, what life as a founder would look like, and gain some of those skills that you could be gaining in the future to also execute on your own project. Yeah, and this also applies for us ourselves. Our Oxygen Access project is currently in the process of considering some scale-up opportunities, and we are very keen to be speaking with people who can help us figure out how to do that. So really keeping an eye on our own newsletter as well. If you go to oxygenaccessproject.org, there's an opportunity to sign up there, and then also to reach out to me on Swapcard if you wanted to have a conversation about this. This again is the QR code for the newsletter of Ambitious Impact. And yeah, the best way to sign up and stay up to date with the programs and charities. Yeah, and I might just leave up that slide so people can continue to continue to sign up. But yeah, basically to wrap this up, I can highly recommend signing up to the newsletter, applying to the program, working with existing organizations. Maybe we just stay under, like, sign-up slide for a while. Thank you. The last year of having started this organization has definitely been one of the more stressful parts of my life, but also definitely one of the most rewarding. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to get some support with the work that we've been able to do. And I can highly recommend that people who are thinking about entering this career path are applying to the program, are speaking to other founders, and are taking the opportunity to make some progress towards having impact in the most cost-effective, counterfactual and scalable way by becoming a founder. So thank you so much for your attention today.
Sorry, I forgot to mention earlier, we can drop our question. We have Q&A session. And if you have more questions, Leonie has a meet up later, office hour later at Hall B, which is the board. So, yeah. So you can still keep dropping your question. So, to start this up, for someone that has been there, is still doing it, can you tell us how does it feel to launch a high impact charity? Or you said it's something that it has been the most stressful year of your life. So what can you tell us about it and share more insight on it?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. I think the best description is that it feels like a roller coaster. There are lots of things happening all the time. There's so much responsibility. And there are also such lows sometimes. Some really challenging moments where you have to solve some very difficult problems, but then that's all made up by the highs of actually seeing that some parts of your project are working, that some of the things that you were trying to do are actually falling into place. It's definitely a roller coaster with a lot of lows, but also some highs that absolutely make it worthwhile.
Yes. So what do you think is the biggest misconception about starting a charity?
Oh, great question. I think that it takes a specific set of pre-requirements or expertise to be able to do this well. I think starting an organization just requires so many different things that there isn't really a role that prepares you to do this besides starting an organization. And I think sometimes people kind of hold themselves back, and myself included a couple of years ago, in giving this a try and giving this a go and really being able and comfortable to just learn as you go and make progress and kind of have growth in your role as you go along, because there's like no perfect way to prepare for this besides starting the work and then learning what you need to learn as you go along.
So how does Oxygen Access Project approach scalability in low resource settings?
Scalability in low resource settings. I think one thing that's really helpful for us is basically our program works a bit like building a house. You have these different building blocks that kind of need to be built on top of each other so the house gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we have spent the last year or the last 9 months trying to understand what does it take to build one building block? What does it take to work with one hospital? What does it take to work with 5 hospitals? What does it take to work with 25 hospitals? And I think we are now getting to a point where we've answered some of those questions and we have figured out, okay, this is how we're building the first story of the house. And now we need to go and build the second story of the house and the third story of the house. So I'm really excited about the next couple of months. Specifically, what we are thinking about is scaling to a second state with our program. And then by the end of the year, scaling to a set of states at the same time. So it's gonna be a very exciting time, but also a very ambitious time from that perspective.
Do ambitious impact train and fund entrepreneurs going into STEM education intervention, especially in under-reserved community? If not, can it be looked into?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So Ambitious Impact spends quite a bit of time trying to identify the very best opportunities that people could be working on to make it as easy as possible for you to find a project that would have maximum impact. Having said this, there's also an opportunity on the program to apply with your own project. To submit a proposal for something that you think is the most important thing that you could be working on. And then that opportunity is also looked at by the researchers. So as far as I know right now, there isn't a specific research project that is ongoing on this topic specifically. But if this is something that you would want the organization to look into, there's an opportunity to submit this as an opportunity to the application process and get the researcher's opinion on those.
So if I already have a charity organization, can I partner with Ambitious Impact for funding?
Yeah, great question. So there is an opportunity to partner with some of the Ambitious Impact incubated organizations, specifically working in Nigeria. Many of us are working with existing organizations to deliver a program, so becoming a partner organization could be a great way to do this. And then another opportunity as well is to apply to the program itself with your own organization. So what that could mean is, again, submitting the proposal, but instead of saying, here's the research idea that I have, or here's the thing that I want to work on in the future, here's the project that I've already been running, here's some of the results, here's some of our track record, and can you help me accelerate that? And for example, this was the case for Temaka. Temaka had already run a successful project and had been doing a lot of work for a long time, but they still got admitted to the program, and they're kind of entered it more from a perspective of scaling that program and accelerating it rather than starting from the complete ground zero from that perspective.
Taking the last question, Ambitious Impact only focused on the health sector, or are you open to other sectors?
Yeah, there's a lot of health programs in there. It's just there's a lot of research and evidence around mortality reduction interventions, and that just lends itself quite nicely to the research approach that the organization is taking. Having said this, there have been several rounds that are looking into different cause areas. So specifically, there's some projects around animal welfare, but then also most recently, some education projects and some things that are looking more onto income improving interventions rather than health improving interventions. And again, the best way to stay in touch on that and get the news once the new ideas are released or what the research team is currently working on is to sign up to the newsletter, to look at the website, because that's where those opportunities are posted.
With massive funding cuts, how do you sustain and scale beyond the seed grant?
Fantastic question. It's something that we are going to have to figure out relatively soon. I don't have like a great straightforward answer here, but I think one thing that's really important is kind of trying to decide where your focus and attention should go at each time. So right now, our mission has been to deliver this intervention to a set of hospitals and help a set of people with the resources that we've had. And doing that well and doing that with as high of a quality as possible is the first step. So I guess the first answer is the best way to fundraise is to run a great program in the first place. And then once you've done that, kind of using the resources and the evidence that you've generated with that program to then go and fundraise for another round. I also want to acknowledge that this is going to be a weird couple of years in that regard, as we are figuring out how the funding landscape is going to be rearranging itself. But I think what we have control over is how well we are running our programs and the quality standards that we are setting for ourselves.
Okay, so unfortunately, we are out of time for this session. If you'd like to continue this conversation, you can meet Leonie at the hall 2. That is the exclusive hall. That's after lunch. So thank you, everyone, for this session. Thank you so much, Leonie. And see you at 2:30 if you have more questions.
Thank you.